Alright, hello. New video, part number 2 here of Ancestor Piety found in Serpent veneration, the royal symbol of Egypt, state formation and government. Thanks for watching and listening. If you can please subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. I enjoy making these videos. This is from my research that I've spent, the last about 9 years studying. So, if you like watching these, please subscribe. Alright, so I have one part one here is a continuation from part one. Number one here is a continuation of part one. I wanted to add something that I didn't mention, which really explaining what we're meaning by government here. So, in appendix to part one, let's take Hambly's quote. Hambly says that the invocation of the serpent is on all occasions related to government. And define government to get a better understanding of this meaning. I only use the Webster dictionary, and sometimes you may need to look at several of the definitions and inserts given to give the proper meaning here. I say that the religious hierarchy, the royal family of Egypt, created the state and used its beliefs of the serpent to create the state. The definitions that I want to apply here are from Webster's. The body of persons that constitute the governing authority of a political unit, and the complex of political institutions, laws, and customs through which the function of governing is carried out. So, if we think about this, we can come to the determination that a group of individuals within a larger group who held authority over the rest of the people used their beliefs in serpent veneration, I don't like to call it worship, which held its own customs, laws, etc. These are beliefs, as religion is beliefs, to create an institution which was used to govern the people it controlled. This evolved into a state, and it's interesting to know how force was used here, because states exercise force through violence, but we don't see the violence here yet, except for the human sacrifice that goes along with it, which must have been very frightening to many of the people in the group who witnessed it. We don't know from the information here, but we could speculate that the people were forced to believe in these things. We talked about how in part one that human sacrifice is a part of serpent worship. Alright, let's continue now from where we left off in part one. Hambly says that during times of seasonal despair, the king sends gifts to the snake house. We should consider this the religious house of ancient times. That the priests take these offerings and use them for themselves, and that they also persuade the people to send their women and daughters to them. Therefore, we know that these are male priests, contrary to the later Egyptian snake goddesses. Right, the early on pre-dynastic Egypt or early dynastic Egypt at Butu, there's a snake goddess, Ujet or Wijet, right? And some people would say, or you might be persuaded to think that royalty comes from this snake goddess, which from Egypt it might have, and it has a very good possibility of being true. Um, but we're going into earlier times to show where Egypt got their beliefs from. The snake house has a front and back door, and in the middle of it is a raised platform with a broom and a basket on top of it. The basket probably contained the snake. Now I want you to think of a witch here with the broom and the basket. Now you know where it really came from. The house, the snake house, is painted white inside and out, so it's a white house. And on the path leading to the entrance, red, white, and blue pennants of cotton are tied to the poles leading to the entrance. Now, does this make you think of our United States flag and our White House? It should. This is the beginning of Western civilization, not Greece. When the priests get the women pregnant who are sent to the snake house, the women are told that God did it and that their children are the children of God. Does this ring bells? All of the stories of the virgin births impregnated by God. Now you know where it came from. For the anointing, like anointing the anointing of Jesus, Hambley says that the fat of the snake is used for childbirth, that the serpent is a symbol of fecundity, or which means reproduction, and fertility, and is responsible for the women conceiving a baby. Therefore, God got you pregnant. In part 1, we explained how the ancestor is in the serpent, and ancestor in this respect means God. Now we understand why Dr. Ben Johanan, a well-known Egyptologist and who calls himself a priest, says that religion comes from between a woman's legs and that heaven is between a woman's legs. Now, very important here, Feeney says that the principal symbols of sun and serpent worship are fire, the cross, fratricide, which is the human sacrifice of one's own relatives, the desire to be wealthy through metals and mining, and propitiation of God. For the becoming wealthy part through metals, in part 1 we talked about how they made serpent figures out of metals. And they did in fact become wealthy through mining, as even prior to the Egyptian state, Africans were mining. But especially in pre-dynastic Egypt and dynastic Egypt, mining is well known in the Sinai and eastern Egypt, and trade occurred between them and Palestine even prior to the Egyptian state. Think of Nakata culture. Nak is means snake in Egyptian. The Ara you can think is Adam, or the snake people. The snake people of Adam, that come from Adam. Over all the civilizations, well, probably all, but most of all beginnings of civilizations of the world, all of they all say they come from Adam. It's spelled differently. If you look at Norway, the Vikings, their god is Odin. You can change those vowels. You can change the O, you can change the A, you can change the M, the N to a M. Those are interchangeable between languages as language variations change. So in the Bible, when it says we confuse the languages, they confuse the languages by just changing the letters, even though they had the same meaning. So Odin is Adam. Woden of the Anglo-Saxon people is Adam. Okay, so where was I at? Propitiation is the act of gaining or regaining. Wait, where was I at? Yeah, sorry. Okay. Yeah, okay. Propitiation is the act of gaining or regaining the favor of goodwill of someone. No, no, no. Oh. Yeah, okay, sorry about that. Propitiation is the act of gaining or regaining the favor of goodwill of someone or something, or appeasement, making concessions to God, meaning trying to get the favor of God and make him happy or satisfied. For the main principles of sun and serpent worship, we have fecundity. I don't know how to pronounce that. Fecundity, fertility, fire, the cross, fratricide, wealth, and piety, which we talked about in part 1. Therefore, we have 7 principles of serpent veneration. We will discuss these more in another video. And so that's it for this part. The sources that I used are the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, and again here we're using Hambly's Serpent Worship in Africa, and John Feeney's book Prehistoric Traditions and Customs in Connection with Sun and Serpent Worship. And the next part we'll introduce some new sources, and we'll continue on. And I don't know if I'll get into the part of Egypt on the next one, but maybe the next one after that. All right, thank you for listening. Take care. Please subscribe, please like, please share with your friends. Thank you very much.